All right, we got sound now, guys. I'm a dum dum. I'm a dum dum. So everybody can hear us now, right? Hopefully, let's give people time back to find it. No viewers yet. Zero viewers.
Zero viewers.
Hopefully, yeah. And then also, yeah, we're at least we got to practice in.
Check out. Check out our new D logo. Our new
Yeah,
logo.
it is temporary. We are doing a more like
Sophisticated.
yeah. So, but that's kind of like along lines. All right, cool. We got
Concept.
yeah. So
Concept logo.
when everybody gets in, when everybody gets back, I will tell you guys what my fault was, what my error was.
James, what's with the monosyllabic comments today? Yeah, what? Was it, or did you ask a question?
I don't know, probably. No. Like maybe he can hear us, so maybe he's yeah.
Yeah. Oh, you were saying you were answering in advance.
A B C D E L S D. All right, so why you guys couldn't hear us is because I'm a dum dum, and I had my Bluetooth in my truck still connected to my phone, and my truck is just like right over there. So
because you were listening to Audible books, audio books on Audible, which we are now on too.
Yeah, we're on Audible. Yeah, I was listening to the laws of human nature. So that's what I was talking about.
I can hear you, David. Your voice fades out.
So the reason why it fades, me and David will work on this too. With when we talk, is if it's picking up my voice and he starts talking, I have to stop talking.
Okay, is that better, James? Start fading out. Mic check, 1, 2, fading out. Yes, no.
I like how we have our audio team as our viewers.
Yeah, right. Remote sound team. We had a heart before. Now we only got a like. Oh, that's.
Maybe people like us better silent. All right, phone's in the middle. We're closer now. So
is that better? Is that better? Good morning, fellas. Put the phone in the middle. In the middle of what?
All right. We'll get on with the show. Okay. Yeah. We're at Fifth Avenue. We're at Fifth Avenue right now. If somebody could tag them in the comments, I actually can't tag it from
learning to drink coffee.
Yeah, from the stream. I can't do it from here because we do StreamYard. But anyways, we're at Fifth Avenue. We're hanging out on the porch. We're doing a live stream today. But we're going to make this probably pretty quick. We're going to get on back in a little bit. But essentially what we were talking about today is we were going to talk about how you view yourself. Right. And David gave a preemptive. You want to give that, David?
Right. Okay. So I got this from someone else, and he was saying when you look at yourself, when you consider yourself, you view yourself, that person that's viewing yourself, can you view them? Can you observe them? Can you observe the observer?
Yeah, and the real world example that I gave was imagine sitting on my porch, me sitting on my porch, somebody across the street kind of diagonal seeing me sitting on my porch, them sitting on their porch, but then somebody watching them watch me on my porch. So that third person, the one that's watching the person that's watching, the one watching oneself, who's watching the self that's watching you? Have you ever tried to see the person that's checking you and holding you accountable, that self that's holding you accountable? I mean, have you tried viewing that person? Are they doing the right thing?
Right.
There's really a lot of depth that you could put into that, because have you considered what you've considered?
Here's the tricky thing. Like, if you're viewing yourself, who is that viewing you? If that's yourself you're viewing, and then if that third person is viewing the person that's viewing yourself, how far can that go? How far out can you go as far as viewing the viewer of yourself? In the end, aren't all of those yourself? In which case, what's the point of even doing that? Why not just simply be yourself?
So James says maybe they're just people watching and have no interest in holding you accountable. Yeah, I'm just trying to give a real world representation of like who that person would be. It's supposed to be internal, James. So like the self, the one, like you as a person. So me, Daniel, the person that's holding me accountable, the voice in my head, the one that's talking to me, the one that's saying you should do this, you shouldn't do that, the one that's holding the moral code, the person that's looking at that self, like the self that's looking at that self.
Yes, Dustin's comment is pretty good there. What if the right thing is wrong if viewed from another person?
Well, then would it actually be right? So you have things to consider. You have to consider why they would think it was wrong, and then what that goes against with them. Right and wrong is usually it's subjective. So it's determined by the person that's putting the value on it. So right and wrong is not as simple as right and wrong. Now, society, we hold basic morals across the board the same. Laws represent that in some ways. But yeah, so just because somebody else viewing it doesn't see it as right, they might be also right as well, just from their perspective, though.
Right,
you have to consider that.
Yeah, I mean, in theory, every self viewer could be a narcissist.
Hang on. I'm going to share this comment because Mr. James Percival is trying to troll us.
That was intended to provoke your brain, my dudes. Maybe they're just people watching and have no interest in holding you accountable. Yeah, exactly. No, exactly, and that's what I'm saying, James. If say yourself, say you're a narcissist, and then you viewing yourself, in order to protect that narcissist, you would reinforce that, and so every time
you would justify
you end up justifying. So yes, the whole self viewing is not necessarily useful, unless it's
you have to check the viewer, like the one that's viewing yourself. Like you have to check that one. You have to make sure that one's holding up their end of the bargain.
So
too.
James is right. Accountability is essential for it to be of any use.
Yeah, I mean, and also honesty. If you think that somebody else has a problem with it, consider why they may have a problem with it, and then do something. If you think that that's an issue, do something to minimize what that problem would be by considering it. So by considering it, you can consider that a variable. You can expect something from that, right? But if you don't consider it, you're going to be blindsided.
What is, Dustin, could you explain a little bit how you mean we have social contracts though? Is that in reference to what is viewed as right and wrong? Could you explain a little bit more there?
And then so this is what Dustin's thing was. So we'll get back to that. James just asked viewing currently versus reflection. Well, I think it is a little bit reflection, but I think it is like in those moments too, the moments of clarity, like when you're in the moment, how is that person holding you accountable? And then sometimes you have to do, like, if you're trying to do something different, you have to do something different, right? If you're constantly faced with the same thing, stop responding the same way.
Yeah, James, I have to add, sorry, and Daniel, I'm probably disagreeing with you a little bit here, as far as the difference between reflection and viewing. Okay, so I don't know if anyone's ever had a dream where you see yourself, like you see yourself doing something, playing a game or going to a store or whatever. You see yourself in a third person externally. That to me is viewing, whereas reflection is more standing in front of the mirror, looking directly at yourself and really examining yourself. So to me, those two things are different. You may get similar data, similar information, but it's a different thing because it's more like first person shooter versus third person shooter. You know what I mean? It's very much more like that. The first person thing in the reflection is much more you facing yourself, whereas the third person thing is much more detached. There's more of a detachment as far as you're an external thing to yourself at that point.
Right. All right, guys. Well, we're gonna cut it short. We may hop back on later, but we got some things to do.
Yeah.
But we appreciate you guys jumping on, and we'll give you guys a little notice next time, and we'll respond to some of these comments over on here when we hop back on.
Dustin's comment there is very salient. I think that's important.
Yeah. We'll jump back on. We'll address some of this stuff. Okay. But guys, check us later. We'll give a notice though, so you guys can prepare to be around. Yeah. Love you guys. Talk to you later.